in order to be an effective teacher, and in order to understand what is a teacher like, we have to understand what is a good speaker. I think they're almost synonymous. To be a good teacher, you almost have to be a good speaker. Now, there's many elements that one can determine on what exactly makes a good speaker or what exactly makes a good teacher. For me, I've picked out 3 facets that I think are really, really important. I'd like to share some of these with you and a little bit about my journey. So in order to be a good speaker and teacher, I think you have to be intelligent. I think you have to know what you're talking about. Now, we've all tried teaching things that we're not so secure in, and it's not always gone too well. We've all tried teaching things that we're not really experts in, and it's not really been the best. However, once we develop our subject knowledge, I feel we can move on and teach in other areas. In order to be a good speaker, we have to be certain about what we're talking to and from. Lots of students tell me, teachers that are passionate, teachers that really love their subject will really hook us in. I'm not quite sure that's enough. Brain or drain spotting is a thing. People actually write that down as a hobby. I go and spot drains. No matter how often and how passionate people talk to me about drain spotting, I'm not quite sure I'll be sold on it. Next thing that's really important for a good speaker and a good teacher is to be reflective. You have to reflect on any task that you must do more than once. What did I do well? Could I do it better? A good speaker, when providing multiple speeches, needs to think, did I engage with the audience? Was I effective in promoting what I was speaking about? A good teacher must reflect. They must ask a multiple variety of people, what is it about me that needs to improve? We can't just rely on the deathly learning walk of the senior leadership team. We have to watch others, we have to reflect, and we have to find out what is it that I can do better. But that's just not just it. What else makes a good teacher? We know intelligence, we know reflection. For me, it's also confidence. A good teacher must be confident. A good teacher must be sure and certain. A good teacher must be absolutely fine with standing up in front of a variety of pupils, in front of a variety of settings, and being confident in what they are talking about. I meet many teachers that are almost afraid of speaking in front of others. And that might be because teachers, as learners, are actually quite bad. Teachers, as members of audience, are actually really critical. Therefore, as a teacher and speaker, we must be confident. Let me tell you an example of somebody that is both intelligent, reflective, and also extremely confident. My mother. My mother taught us when we were younger, when the ice cream van sound rang, there was no ice cream left. So there was us thinking, why is he always driving past whenever he's finished? And the only time we got that ice cream was, Mum, he's parked up, no sound, we're getting ice cream. Now, she did that with surety, she did that with confidence, and she made us believe it. And let's not lie, even if you're not an educator, you've all taught people or told somebody something that isn't quite true. And you've said it with ultimate confidence. I'm doing a little bit of it now. What we've got to remember as well is, and this is where it gets a little bit complicated, because for me, I'm going to lay my cards out on the table. I think every good teacher and speaker must be engaging. I've said it, I'm sorry. I know it's one of those terms that people think it's almost likened with this phrase that you might read or hear. Well, engagement is a poor proxy to learning. Without engagement, you cannot see learning. With engagement, you cannot see learning. However you want to look at it, whatever you want to look at it, we're not here to have fun. That's not my job. You might think that's not for you to do. But for me, I'm thinking, you're sat here and you're all engaged, right? You're all doing what you should be doing. And sometimes we get it wrong. Sometimes we try to be engaging and we don't quite get it right. And sometimes we confuse what engaging is. Hey guys, I'm going to Snapchat as well. And hey guys, let's play Pokemon Go with you as well. I'm not quite saying you must do all of those things, because where we confuse engagement is, we think it's entertainment. And we're not here to be entertaining. Hazel mentioned lessons should be fun. I agree, but we shouldn't plan for fun. The lessons should be so engaging, they in turn become fun. We make learning relevant, we hook our students in, we bring them together, we contextualize it, and we make it fun. Lessons can be fun with just you standing at the front sharing knowledge. That is fun. Unless you're talking about drains, then it might not be. We need to be clear about the idea that engagement doesn't mean riding around on a unicycle popping balloons full of glitter. Engagement is us sharing our knowledge. But for me, there's something missing, because school must be more than just coming in, learning something that is written in a textbook, and then going home. For me, school needs to be more than that. School needs to teach me things that I wouldn't have learned at home. I mean, my mother, for example, with the ice cream van. Hopefully school corrected that for me. What we need to understand about engagement is that sometimes if we try an idea, people think, well, that's gimmicky. That's a fad. That's a gimmick. Why are you doing that? Why are you trying these things that we know research suggests doesn't work? But I'm yet to find a single piece of research that has applied to all students across every single school in the country. I'm yet to find research that applies to my students, that will apply to your students, that will apply to your students. Something works somewhere, but not everything works everywhere. And what we must do as teachers is know our students, not just students. So you might think that idea sounds a little bit ridiculous for that lesson, for that school, for that teacher. Unless you're in that school with that lesson, with that teacher, don't make a comment. My motto is simple: try, refine, ditch. Try an idea, refine an idea. If it doesn't work, ditch the idea. I'm very, very fortunate. I could provide training to many, many school teachers, and I talk to many, many young people, and I offer them this advice: try an idea, refine an idea. If you don't like the idea, ditch the idea. And I have to always say, if you don't like the idea, don't hate me. Just don't use it. It's really that simple. And sometimes the danger with being engaging is we almost have to kill our creativity. We almost have to kill our ideas because we're worried that people will think, why are you trying that? Why don't you just stand at the front and teach? Got nothing against that. Stand at the front and teach. But sometimes we need to teach in a different method, in a different manner. And we have up to 30, well, probably 35 students in a classroom soon. What we need to be able to do is access every single one of them. I'm not saying soften it down. I'm not saying dumb down the expectations. I'm saying we must be able to do things that are slightly different. Now, I share these ideas online. I ask teachers to use them. I never ask them to just pick up an idea and just chuck it into their classroom. You must always contextualize that idea for your students. Now, that's probably not quite enough. Intelligence, reflection, confidence, engaging. So as I reflect always on my teaching and my practice, I think back to my best teacher, Mr. Wickens, the most inspiring teacher I ever had. He passed away recently. I've been in a really privileged position. He was my teacher. I went back to teach at the school I learnt in. He became my colleague, and then he became my friend. Now, through this journey, he taught me so many things. He taught us boys that grew up in Reading, Cemetery Junction. I mean, we had cemetery in the name that we grew up in. He taught us boys, and he took us boys to places and see things that we never thought we would see. He took us to something called the Nutcracker. And all of us were sat in a minibus going, why is he taking us to something to go crack nuts? What's this guy doing? And then we were sat there going, what's a ballet? What's this guy doing? And then we get there, and we see a guy in tutus and tights, and one of the boys was like, Nutcracker, makes sense. That's what we're doing. He got us cricket trials. He made us feel inspired. His classroom full of the most amazing tea-stained scrolls that we would sit in front of the fire for hours, burning paper, starting again, so he could hang them across his classroom ceiling. He inspired us. But what he did was so amazing. He did something that I really tried to replicate always throughout my teaching. He made every single student feel like they were the most important student in the classroom. And I didn't realize that until his funeral. I was lucky enough to say a few words, write a few things about him, and I was surrounded in his funeral by lots of me. Lots of people saying, Mr. Wickens did this for me. And I was like, hold up. Mr. Wickens is my favorite teacher. What are you talking about? I was like, he took me to ballet, not you. What are you talking about? And then I sat back and I thought, whoa, Mr. Wickens affected every single one of us. And he did it in a way that never took away the amount of time that he was putting in for us, and the amount of effort he was putting in for us, and the amount of engagement he placed on us. So for me, to be an engaging and inspiring teacher, we have to hold to heart every single one of our students. And the ones that shun our love need it the most. And what I really want to end with for you is to remember. Now, you might be trained, or even if you haven't trained as a teacher, even I started around 11 or 12 years ago. I have students now that have come up to me and said, sir, I became a teacher because of you. My first reaction is, what are you talking about? You're still 10. What do you mean you've become? I'm not that old. Don't stop. Just come and see me in 10 years or something. Don't tell me that yet. But the point is, we need to remind ourselves that we can be you. Be you in the classroom. Share elements of your personality. I'm not suggesting you become friends, but I'm definitely saying be friendly. I'm not suggesting you become Facebook friends with them, but I'm suggesting that you share elements of your personality, elements of who you are. So I've never seen you in a snapback. I thought you only wear a suit. I said, yeah, I even sleep in a suit. I never wear anything but a suit. Students need to know a little bit about yourself. They need to hear a little bit about you. They need to be comfortable with you. I ask students, so what would make an engaging teacher? What would make an inspiring teacher? I delivered this presentation to my students. I thought, I'm talking about you, so surely you should hear it. And only one of them, I'm glad, only one of them said, sir, when you talk about engaging teachers, just mention not you. I thought, okay, the only person that's getting referenced in this talk is going to be you, Miss Burke. Now, we need to remember, show yourself. Be yourself. We control the climate in our classroom. It might be a snowy windstorm outside, but we can make our classroom a sub-Saharan desert full of ideas. We could break down the most complex of ideas into the most simplistic of terms for every single student. And we do that through love. We do that through compassion. We are more than just teachers. In order to be inspiring, in order to be engaging, you must be intelligent, you must be reflective, you must be confident, and you must be you. Don't be a hidden figure in your classroom. I'm the first in my family to go to university. My father is both illiterate in his home language and English. He came over as an economic migrant. He worked his socks off so that we can work our socks off. And he wanted me to be the first of. He created the first of. How many the first ofs are you going to create? Thank you.